was hoping to move on from this, but we can't because there's still some juicy little tidbits about the Will v. Chris slap heard around the world. So Will did issue an apology. I did win a little bit of money from my friends because they decided that Chris was going to apologize first. I said absolutely not. Will Smith said, and I'll just read the whole thing. And he posted this on Instagram. Violence in all of its forms is poisonous and destructive. My behavior at last night's Academy Awards was unacceptable and inexcusable. Jokes at my expense are part of the job, but a joke about Jada's medical condition was too much for me to bear, and I reacted emotionally. I would also like to apologize to the Academy, the producers of the show, all the attendees, everyone watching. I would like to apologize to the Williams family and my King Richard family. I deeply regret that my behavior has stained what has been an otherwise gorgeous journey for all of us. I would like to publicly apologize to you, Chris. I was out of line and I was wrong. I'm embarrassed and my actions were not indicative of the man I want to be. There's no place for violence in a world of love and kindness. Then Jada chimed in on her page that simply said, this is a season for healing and I'm here for it.
Wow. This season?
This is just this season.
When does it end?
A couple other people chimed in, though, that I thought were interesting.
Mm-hmm.
First, the Laugh Factory. I don't know if you've seen the marquee today.
No.
But go ahead and put that up. It's in full support of Chris Rock. It's a big sort of light up billboard.
Yeah.
And it says, Laugh Factory supports First Amendment right for all comedians. The comedy community loves and supports you, Chris. So that's big. That's up in big, bold letters at the Laugh Factory. And Jim Carrey, because I never know anymore with Jim Carrey what he's going to say about anything. So anything he says surprises me. So for some reason, this surprises me.
Fuck me money.
Yeah, he was on CBS with Gayle King, and he said, I was sickened. I was sickened by the standing ovation. I felt like Hollywood is just a spineless en masse. I really felt like, oh, this is really a clear indication that we're not in the cool club anymore. And then as for Chris suing, he said he didn't want the hassle. I would have announced this morning that I was suing Will for $200 million because of the video is going to be around forever. It's going to be ubiquitous. That insult is going to last a very long time. And then I think it was...
I agree with Jim Carrey.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, to some degree.
Might have been Michael Che. I can't remember, but somebody was just like, why the fuck do comedians bother being the jesters for these assholes anymore?
Well, I'm reading here that Jeff Ross cried when it happened. Comedians are weird.
What do you mean?
Weird,
Yeah,
well, all the comedians
sensitive.
were saying, like, they're like, okay, this now invites people to come walk up and attack us on stage.
Kathy
like
Griffin said the same thing.
Yeah, huge movement from all the comedians, and then Jeff Ross posted that. Yeah, he said, I worship Chris Rock. I cried when I saw Smith attack him because I was watching my idol live out a comedian's worst nightmare on live television.
I don't know. Does it invite everyone else to come up? I don't. I feel like, in a way, that's kind of like violent video games. Cause I mean, it might not help. I don't know if it's inviting people to walk up, but maybe we're going to have to start doing comedy like when the Blues Brothers went and performed at the Honky Tonk.
Yeah, right. Chain link fence.
Or in your beloved, what's the fucking one with the cooler with the Swayze?
Roadhouse?
Roadhouse.
Yeah, they're performing behind Chicken Wire.
That's right.
Yeah, and also the comedy. Yeah, that was in Roadhouse. And speaking of the coolers, comedy, clubs don't have the best coolers.
That's a good point.
Around. The guys who do the honky tonks and the roadhouses and
they're
the clubs
career
and
coolers.
stuff, they're career coolers. These guys, I mean, when we had a crazy person, a couple of times had a crazy person out there, once at Cobb's, once out in Ventura.
The girl that got kicked out?
Yeah, it takes they do not snap into action.
No.
They're nowhere to be found.
They're nowhere to be found. So maybe they're going to have to step up that game a little bit.
You know what's interesting that I observed casually on Twitter, just seeing responses, people, tweeting about the incident, and then was actually put into statistical. So, Chris, you have to dig for this, so maybe don't even worry about it. But someone did a scientific survey basically of 2,000 people. Women generally, or Will Smith is more defended or supported by women, and Chris Rock is more defended and supported by men. Men tend to come down on the side of Chris Rock.
Lame.
Well, not 100%, of course, but it skews.
Well, it's interesting because you know who else weighed in on this? And I read the whole thing, and it was really well done, especially because I've been watching Winning Time. I don't know if you're caught up yet.
Not yet.
But,
I missed the last one. But
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar wrote a whole article on Substack, and it's long. I'm just going to read you the second sentence in the first paragraph. With a single petulant blow, he advocated violence, diminished women, insulted the entertainment industry, and perpetuated stereotypes about the black community. And he supports each of those in really succinct paragraphs.
Well, I was talking to Drew about this earlier as well. And in his book, I guess, or in an interview, Will Smith said he was beat on a lot as a kid.
In his book, I think.
Listen, when you beat on kids, that becomes their conflict resolution, becomes putting hands on somebody else. We've seen a lot of this. We should probably focus on not beating on the kids. It's bad for the kids. It's worse for society because at some point this kid's going to take public transportation and we're going to get into a disagreement and then the hands are going to come out. There's no doubt that the epidemic of people putting their hands on people is also a byproduct of parents putting their hands on kids. And it's a two-way street. You never do that to your kid, and your kid doesn't do that to other people.
You don't think to do it.
You're right. It's not part. It's like you grow up eating poi, you like poi. You don't grow up eating poi, you hate poi. It's not something that Drew's kids or my kids would think about because nobody put their hands on them. It doesn't pop in your mind.
Yeah, and I could be wrong because I just heard an excerpt on the radio, but I think it also said he had a lot of experience watching his dad hit his mom.
I would
and
say
we're talking
that's
about
another
his wife.
Right. So
offending.
Dad whacking on mom, dad whacking on you, and then you whack on society. Now, Will Smith is...
He's not known for that. But.
He is... He's in a pretty rarefied air, but I'm talking about your average person who experienced that and conflict resolution. And it's something that should be discussed. We can't discuss it because it takes a racial turn, so no one will bring it up. So then people will just continue to suffer.
Well, ironically, guess who else supports Chris Rock, which I was kind of tickled by? Alec Baldwin. He chimed in about the smacking, and he said, I'm not reading much about how or even if producers attended to Chris, but I love you, Chris Rock. I love that he was against somebody getting punched because I know sometimes he lets his fist do the talking.
Did you guys notice that they included the cinematographer who died on Rust?
Helena Hutchins?
Yeah. I'm not an attorney, but I always hear Mark Garagos's head. In my head, I hear his voice, and I always think, don't chime in for a little while, Alec. Take a little break from chiming in.
Go do your movie in Italy.
If someone wants to talk to you with their camera and their phone out, and when you leave the country store, don't talk to them. Yeah. Don't sit down with George Stephanopoulos. Don't do any of that. Stop chiming in.
Well, how about we divert that news about Alec Baldwin and talk about some new Alec Baldwin news. He and Hilaria are expecting their 7th child. That was shared in news in an Instagram post on Tuesday. And there was a video, and I think we have it. You can just see she's telling the kids or whatever, and they're all sort of excited and hugging. She is 38. He's 63. They got Maria Lucia Victoria, Carmen Gabriela, Rafael Thomas, Leonardo Angel Charles, Romeo Alejandro David, and Eduardo Paul Lucas. And got another one coming in the fall.
No one named Nick. But a little nod of the head to his heritage,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where's the Pat?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Balance it out a little.
Yeah.
Wow. Is she having the kid? Or are they using a surrogate?
Unclear, because I did do a little digging on that. And they list the ages, and one of them's 13 months and one of them's 18 months. So they are using surrogates for at least one. So, and she looks, she's in fighting shape.
What?
So that would lead me to believe.
Now, do they both want more kids equally? Or is that her thing, or is that his thing? Because I feel like they have enough kids. He has kids from previous marriages. So what is it?
Well, my first thought is he's Irish Catholic. They're used to big families. This isn't shocking to him.
Yeah, but Alec, you got 2 brothers you hate. Or at least 1.5. Do the math. You got 7 kids here. 1.5 of them's going to be good.
No.
The other's going to be trouble.
Yeah.
The other's going to to be Steven.
Yeah.
But then look at Steven. He came back strong with his offspring.
Right, with Haley Bieber.
Because then she married Bieber, and now you've made a comeback.
Gravy train.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. This is very scary, especially since none of them seem to care. We haven't talked about Ukraine in a while, but I want to talk about this very specific thing that happened. Russian soldiers who seized the site of Chernobyl, of the nuclear disaster, drove armored vehicles without radiation protection through a highly toxic zone called the Red Forest. And I'll tell you why it's called that in a minute. Kicking up clouds and radioactive dust. This is according to workers that work at Chernobyl. The 2 sources said soldiers were in this convoy. They didn't use any anti-radiation gear, anything that they basically said this is a suicide mission because anything you breathe in has radiation dust. They also said that they'd witnessed Russian tanks moving through the Red Forest, which is the most radioactively contaminated part of the zone. A vast area around Chernobyl is off limits to anyone who doesn't work there or have special permission. But the Red Forest is so highly contaminated, even the plant workers, the nuclear plant workers aren't allowed there. And they're just rolling through with, a helmet and fatigues.
God, I've heard stories about, I heard a story about Ukrainian soldiers shooting captured Russians like in the legs. Now there's this.
And the Russian, sorry, I didn't have it here, but a Russian convoy ran over their superior.
Their own superior.
Yes.
Yeah, it is just a shit show. But you would assume it was always this way. I mean,
Sure.
World War II was probably chock-a-block filled with these kind of atrocities and save the nuclear stuff.
Right.
And then World War I, I was thinking about this the other day, and I don't know why, because my brain always works this way. But we always go, we're the only nation to ever nuke another nation. But true. But to be fair, we nuked ourselves first.
No.
I mean, we did.
A number of islands.
We've the Bikini Islands. Mm-hmm. We've nuked much of Nevada. We did a lot of self-nuking. We were testing, but we were nuking.
Yeah.
It's like there's a couple places nukes have been set off, and those places are Nagasaki and Hiroshima and Nevada. But the Russians must have tested their nukes too.
Oh, you'd imagine so. Yeah, probably parts of Siberia.
Yeah.
Or
yeah, and did they test
Aleutian Islands?
We took a whole island.
Right.
They had people on it.
That's right.
We got them off.
That'll show them to live there. Also, I didn't think to pull this because there's no audio. But please tell me, and anyone can Google this, it is so worth it. Have you seen the little mini movie that Kim Jong, which one? Not Sun. Kim Jong-il. Which one is it now?
Just say Kim Jong.
Ken Jeong. Did you see his new missile movie he put together
No,
to show off his missile?
I want to talk about Dr. Ken for a second.
Totally different person.
Well, let me just digress here. He's doing another one of those commercials for eye drops.
Uh-huh.
You can see him driving around. He's driving around a convertible, and he's like, "Oh, my eyes are so dry." Well, get a coupe next time, Ken. But
get a roof on that shit.
He takes his things off, and then we go into his head, and we got the fire noid who's attacking. I don't want the fungus noid going after using my big toenail like a hatch.
Yeah.
I don't want the noid in my eye. I want a moratorium on crazy animated little noids, the little devils.
You don't want your gross afflictions personified.
Yes, or they're in your bowel, they're in your stomach. Oh, the mucus noid. There's the mucus family guy.
Yeah.
No more noids. I'm trying to eat here, people.
Yeah, moratorium.
They're moving in. Their whole family's moving. Yeah, here's Ken, Dr. Ken. Pulls off.
Griffith, probably.
Dry eye symptoms keep driving you crazy?
I think it's Jaguar.
Inflammation in your eye might be to blame.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, it's Syndrome from fucking
Yes.
Incredibles.
Yeah.
Lubricating your eyes.
I would say the makers of Mr. Heat Miser
Xydra works differently.
have a copyright case here.
Oh, I forgot about Mr. Heat Miser.
Find a picture of Mr. Heat Miser.
That's nearly identical.
I think they ripped off Mr. Heat Miser from the Rudolph cartoon. But anyway, stop it. We get it. You can have a dry eye.
Yeah.
You can have a gut problem. You can have mucus. You can have fungus on your nails.
Without
it
a
does
gremlin.
not all need to be illustrated by a gremlin.
Yeah.
You're freaking me out.
Agreed.
Sorry, video.
Oh, do you have the video of the Kim Jong-un? It's pretty. Have you not seen this?
Put Michael Bay to shame.
Yeah, this is literally just his announcement that they have a missile.
Set this to Armageddon soundtrack.
So feel free to narrate.
Walking out
In his
slow
little
motion.
outfit.
His outfit.
Shout out to someone.
Pointing
Smart.
at things.
Not dressed in military.
Shout out to someone else.
He's in like a leather members only jacket. There's a giant missile behind him.
Gina, I'm going to say this is phallic.
Oh, very. This is like on state-run TV. Now he's looking at his watch.
Oh, boy.
They're all looking at their watch, trying to scare us.
Hans Zimmer's like, what have I done?
They're all looking at their watch for the countdown.
It feels a little too much on the watch.
Takes the sunglasses off, gives a little nod, and missile comes out.
Oh, boy.
This is insane.
I know. What year is it? What's going on? This is nuts. There's no way this is what 2022 was supposed to look like when I was 14.
And for somebody who claims to hate the West, he certainly wants to imitate blockbuster movies. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
His influence pretty clear.
Very influenced.
Yeah. Boy, that is ugh.
Jerk.
One more thing to think about.
Okay. Well,
Sad.
we want one more happy story?
Yeah, happy
Okay,
story.
so let's do a palate cleanser from kicking up radioactive dust and talk about Porsche. They've announced that 80% of their cars will be electric by 2030. And the company's made a pledge to build a bunch of charging stations to make sure customers have a place to plug it in. Maserati also ramping up its electric car efforts with plans to go fully electric by 2025.
Electric cars work. They're fast.
2025 fully electric?
That's what it says. I mean,
They have
how
a
many
much-
Maseratis are there?
Much smaller fleet. But
Still, that's surprising.
electric cars, 0 to 60, are quicker than any supercar with an internal combustion engine. At least they're capable of it.
It's awesome.
It's just the difference in the science between the instant torque of the electric motor and the internal combustion engine. So performance-wise, no
Not a problem.
problemo. And then range-wise, we're getting into no problemo zone. And then there was this other part, which was kind of I like the sound.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's true. Everyone over 45 likes the sound, but my son's not going to care about the
No.
sound. So there's this whole new generation that's coming up that would have been like reading the news on a computer. I want a newspaper in my hand. What if
Something I can touch.
What if a fly lands on me? Like, yeah.
What do I smack the dog with?
$5 for a bottle of water. I got a sink over there. It's free. You
Yeah.
know, it's like, you're dying.
Yeah.
And then you shall be replaced by these people.
I had this argument with a friend when the Keurig first came out. You know, the coffee pods. You make the coffee instant, and me and my buddy Rich DeMiro were like, "It's great. It's every advantage is in favor of the Keurig." And he was like, "Well, what about no? It's better with the Keurig. What about no? It's better." And finally, the guys like, "Well, what if I want to make a pot of coffee and sit on my balcony and read and pour from the pot?" Well, yes, I guess in that
Right.
specific instance, yes, I suppose it's
I've never
better.
had a Keurig.
It's good.
I hear, but I know it doesn't make a difference, and I'm just one person. But hearing about all that landfill shit with the pods, I'm like, what's wrong with the coffee pod?
It's potted up.
Trader Joe's makes mesh ones. now, which
Back in business, baby.
Yeah, it's good. I would say if you really like hanging out and drinking coffee, you can make the pot in the morning if you're going to be hanging out and you just be putzing
Right.
around.
That's a rare scenario.
But if you're getting up and going, single cup is fine. Single cup is the Keurig for me kicks in of it's been a long day and I come home and now I want to work out or exercise or something and I'm feeling tired. Just single cup, pow.
I get it. I like it.
Yeah, and look, obviously with gas at $6.75 a gallon, half the places in LA, the electric thing feels pretty enticing. But
And
again, we need the infrastructure.
Depending on your neighborhood, Brian, I don't even know if you'll be able to relate. Adam, harken back to yesteryear. I don't need a bunch of bros zooming by, setting off every car alarm on my street. So if you want to go electric, by all means, go electric.
I've been there. I lived on Washington Boulevard, for God's sake.
Gotcha.
What's going to happen, sadly, is for every action there's the reaction, and for every Prius, there's a big Ram pickup truck being sold.
There's James Brolin.
The more electric cars that get sold, the more douchebags are going to go with the open headers going down the street. They're going to let you know, even if you're asleep inside of your condo, they're going to let you know they are not part of this group that was forced into an electric car.
Okay.
All right, let's bring her home.
Wow.
The eye drop devil and the heat miser are almost identical.
Look, you can't just throw fucking aviator goggles on something and call it your own. There should be a lawsuit here.
Yeah.
I now need a syndrome.
Mr. Heat Miser. He had a song. You remember that?
Yeah, of course. And was it Mr. Snow Miser and Mr. Heat?
I'm Mr. Heat Miser.
He's Mr. 101.
Miser. Bop, 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 bop.
The fact that was one of the best parts of my childhood shows.
Very sad.
My friend John Tyler made a Mr. Heat Miser in my ceramics class, and somebody crushed it.
Mean.
With a fist, you know what I mean? Like, he put it in the locker overnight and found a big fist in it. Aww. And then it set off a chain reaction. Because John didn't know who did it, but he had it narrowed down to like 4 people.
You, Ray.
Right. So he went and smashed their shit. And then the person whose shit got smashed thought it was somebody else and started smashing someone else's shit.
It's a metaphor for world relations.
The biggest ticket item when you take ceramics is $10 for your big block of clay at the beginning of the semester. Then somebody threw mine out the second-story window and landed on a drainage grate and fucked it all up. Then someone pushed number 2 pencils into mine. Oh. So Mr. Heat Miser over here just set this fucking chain reaction off where everyone was smashing everyone's projects and sabotage. It was like you spike, like the Sierra Club spikes a tree.
Right.
I got my clay spike.
He was too much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad. That was the news with Gina Grad.
Well, let me tell you about CBDX, Delta 8 THC, new cannabinoids sweeping the hemp and health and wellness market. CBDX.com sells Delta 8 products, which feel just like cannabis, vape products, actual flower, gummies, even concentrates. Legal per the 2018 Farm Bill Congress passed. Ships to 39 states. Use the code ADAM for not only 20% off, but free gram, a dry bud with your first order. Orders ship within 24 hours, and there's only 4 letters you got to remember. CBDX.com. Promo code ADAM. Am I right, Dawson?
Do not operate machinery when using these products. Please be responsible.
You know who's going to save L.A. from Barbara Ferrer? LL Cool J.
Jeez.
He'd give her fucking shagging of her life, and that bitch would come in whistling and smoking, holding a martini, going, I don't know, do what you want. I got to get back to LL Cool J. Mama said knock you up, bitch.